What's up, guys? So welcome to the vlog. This is episode two of me just talking about the brand that I'm building. And so today's topic is, how did it all start? Like, what got me into it and how I was able to start a clothing brand. All right. And so to start off, I gotta take you back to San Francisco. So I was in San Francisco and I was selling solar door to door. I was like, yo, dude, you wanna buy some solar, man? You wanna buy some solar? Yo, solar, door. And the solar industry is so competitive and really hard, because you're basically trying to convince people to go from using everyday power to solar panel, and they have a lot of questions about it. Solar can be very expensive. You're destroying their home. And even when you're not like destroying their home, but like you're putting stuff on top of their roof, and people get very skeptical when you start doing that. So the thing that I had with solar is not that I couldn't sell. The thing is that the payout when I made a sale was really long, and now it depends on which region you're in, it's a lot faster, but at the time it was like really slow. So I'd make sales and people would be waiting for their solar, but it was taking too long to get it put in. In Berkeley specifically, there's a lot of rules and regulations that would postpone a project, and so it was very difficult to get paid on projects, because projects would never get done. So even though I made quite a bit of sales and I was getting customers interested and engaged as well, like I could never get to the end point and make the money that solar people make, because I was just in the wrong region. But there was one night, and I was living in the van at the time. That's a whole nother story, the van life. But I was living in the van, and I just had no money to my name, and I was like, dang, like Staria is in Seattle and she's working, and I was like, I'm all the way in San Francisco away from my wife, and I'm like, I'm not making any money, I'm not bringing any money in, and I'm so far away for what, you know? And then I started realizing, like, what are the things that I want the most out of this life? And it's nothing includes me being away from my wife. So I decided I'm just gonna quit my job and move to Seattle, just like that. So the next day I woke up, quit my job, and I moved out to Seattle. And well, it wasn't that easy. So I went to try another solar program, and at the end of that program I realized that I just didn't want to be there. It was like, I did like maybe a month, and I was like, nope, I'm done. So I quit. I left the next day, and I just drove out to Seattle. Didn't have a plan in mind at all. So I get to Seattle, and I'm like, yo, I don't know what I'm gonna do for work. First of all, I'm not even from Seattle, so I don't know anything about Seattle. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna sign up for DoorDash and Instacart. So I started DoorDashing and Instacart, and I started making pretty good money from DoorDashing and Instacart, which was surprisingly, you know, a really good blessing. And then from there, I had a homie in LA, and he was like, I was telling him that I was kind of interested in what he does, and he like sells clothes at like flea markets, and I was like telling him that I was interested, and he's like, yo, dude, come out to LA, and I'm gonna show you what I do, and like spit your name out here so that you can get a spot at a really good flea market. And I was like, bet. So long story short, flew out to LA, checked it out. He hooked me up so I can get a spot for like 2 days, and I had some clothes and some inventory that I was like, all right, let's try selling. And so I get out here and I started selling, and I was like, this is dope, this is awesome, man. So I got back to Seattle, connected with a couple people, and they were like, yo, you gotta check out a couple markets. One is Fremont Market, Sunday Market, and then Saturday markets wherever you can find. And I did Georgetown once a month. And basically I started reselling, dude, and I was loving reselling. I was like, this is so dope. But so to break down the finance, and I don't want this video to be super long, so there might have to be a part 2. Yeah, there definitely will have to be a part 2, because there's a lot more. But basically, part 1 is like, I get to Seattle and I'm like, all right, let's start this reselling business. But at the time, door dashing, I was making, shoot, I can't even remember. I was making about $1,000 a week, door dashing and Instacarting. But then that's not including like taking out the gas. And so after gas and repairs and everything, I was probably making about $700 to $800 a week. Which at the time I was like, this is good. Like I went from making no money to making some money. Like this is dope. I'm chilling. And it was dope. And then I started reselling and I was like, all right, let's see how this goes. So then I started making like $800 a week from reselling. Then it turned from 800 in a matter of like a month or less than a month. I started making 1,600 for the weekend per market, and like things were booming. Like it was awesome. And like I was getting to the point where I was starting to make like over $2,000 per market, which was, I was like, yo, this is crazy. This is a lot of money, you know, like it's awesome at the time. And then yeah, so then I like that was like, I got so into clothing and I was like, this is so cool. But I would make calls to my mom in LA and just talk about like when we moved back to LA, like I want to dive deeper into making clothes. And I was so eager, man. I was like, yo, I want to get there. I want to make clothes, and I can't wait. And then something awful happened, like awful. So we had about, I want to say, a month left in Seattle after our lease ended, and we were living in the van, and I tore my Achilles. I tore it, and basically that one tear to my Achilles caused our life to just spiral down, literally all the way down to like having nothing. And I'm gonna explain that to you guys tomorrow, but it was like one of the craziest things that happened, and it broke me like so low that I cried. Like I rarely ever cried, but this made me cry, and I was like down in the dirt. Like our family went through a lot, and I want to explain all of that to you guys in the next video. So stay tuned. Tomorrow I'm dropping another one. Let's go.